Hello guys, welcome once more to JAMB Physics 2020 online class, and my name is Mr. Damilola. In this video, we shall be looking at past question 2020 for JAMB and Physics, and we shall be looking at question number 16 to number 20. Okay, so don't forget to like our video. If you really enjoy the video, click on like button and subscribe, and also tell your friends about this video so that you can get more content from us from time to time. Remember, we have so much to show you, so much fantastic stuff to share with you that will help you in your journey to understand physics. Now let's check number 16. The question says a transformer has 300 tons of wire in the primary coil and 30 tons in the secondary coil. If the input voltage is 100 volts, the output voltage is, now it said A said 5 volts, B said 10 volts, C said 15 volts, D said 20 volts. Now this is a transformer question, and transformer is not something that is complex. It's one of those things that you must learn if you've ever been through a physics class before. You know, transformer is simply a device that step up or step down current. That's a transformer. Now, but there's one thing that you must know about transformer that we're able to answer most questions in physics, past questions on transformer, and that is the formula of transformer, and that's what I'll show you now. The formula, the almighty formula for transformer, is the one that I put in that cloud there. NP over NS equals VP over VS equals IS over IP. That means number of primary coil windings or turns over number of secondary turns equals primary voltage over secondary voltage equals secondary current over primary current. So I'll come again. That's primary turns over secondary turns equals primary voltage over secondary voltage equals secondary current over primary current. If you know that formula, you can answer any question on transformer, and that formula is what you should really master to answer this question. Now let's use the formula now. The transformer has 300 tons of wire. Now you know the amount of tons determines the amount of voltage the transformer will have. So what I mean is that every transformer has, like in my diagram there, every transformer has a primary turn and a secondary coil. Primary coil and secondary coil, or primary windings and secondary winding, right? Now the larger the amount of windings, the larger the amount of voltage, and the lower the amount of current. The lesser the amount of windings, the lesser the amount of voltage, and the higher the amount of current. That is what the formula is simply saying. Now let's apply that now. If we have a primary, so the formula is between turns, that's N, and voltage. So I'll just use the formula NP over NS equals VP over V. I will not use IS over IR because the question never asks about current. So if the question asks about current, I can use N and I or V and I, depending on what the question asks me to do. Okay, so this question sorry, is asking about turns and voltage. So that means I'll be answering that now. So we have primary turn is 300 and secondary turn is 30. I have my parameters there. Then primary voltage is 100 volts and my secondary voltage is not given. So I'll just make the secondary voltage the subject of formula by cross multiplying and dividing both sides by NP. I'll be having secondary voltage VS is VP over times NS over NP. That is primary voltage times secondary turn over primary turn. So my primary voltage given to me the question is 100 volts times my secondary turn, which is 30, then over my primary turn, which is 300. So I have 100 times 30 over 300. If I cut through, I'll be getting 10 volts as my solution to my secondary voltage, and that gives me the answer. The answer to the question is simply B. Now the most important thing to take from this question or any question on transformer is the formula. Once you know the formula, I tell you, you can answer that question. Okay, so let's check out number 17. A solid weigh 4.8 kilogram in air, 2.8 kilogram in water, and 3.2 kilogram in kerosene. The ratio of density of the solid to that of the kerosene is what? Now, you know, when we're learning about density, we learn about density of solid and density of liquid. They both have different formulas. In case you've forgotten, I will remind you. That's not a problem. So let's check out the next slide now. Let's look at it. Now, density, relative density of solid. Now, relative density of solid is equal to the mass in air over the mass in air minus the mass in water. Or it can also be weight, but in this question, we are giving mass. So, the mass in air. So, to find the relative density of a solid, you just do the mass in air over the mass in air minus the mass in water. Is that gotten? Now let's see the mass in air. The mass in air is 4.8 over the mass in air 4.8 minus the mass in water, which is 2.8. So 4.8 minus 2.8 below gives me 2. 4.8 over 2 equals 2.4. That is the mass of the solid. Okay, that is the actually not just the mass, that is the density of the solid. Okay, now the relative density of kerosene now, because kerosene is a liquid. Now, if you are finding the relative density of a liquid, you'll be using the formula mass in air minus mass of the liquid. In this case, is kerosene over the mass in air minus the mass of water. Do you get the formulas? Now, notice that the formula for solid and liquid are not the same. I mean, the relative density of solid, how to find it, is not the same as how to find the relative density of liquid. The formula has a little alteration. Although the one below might be the same, but the one above are not the same. So if you get that, then you can answer questions on relative density easily. Now let's see. Now the mass in air is 4.8 minus the mass of kerosene, 3.2 over mass in air 4.8 minus mass of water, which is 2.8. If I minus the up, I'll get 1.6. Below, I'll get 2. 1.6 divided by 2 is 0.8. Now, the question now said the ratio of density of the solid, that is 2.4. Ratio means over, that's division. Divided by that of kerosene, that's 0.8. If you divide 2.4 by 0.8, you'll be getting 3 over 1. And that will give me my answer as 3, right? So that means that the answer is option D, and that is straightforward, right? Once you know the formula for the mass for relative density of solid and of liquid, then you are good to go. You won't have problem with any question on that. So let's check number 18. Number 18 says one of the following readings represent the measurement of the length of a metal rod using vernier caliper. Taking the reading accurate into consideration, the most likely one is what? Now, the reading accuracy, that should have been accuracy. Maybe it's a typographic error or whatever. Now, can you remember vernier caliper? You were taught that in year 1 and in SS1, right? About caliper. Caliper is a device used for finding the length of a cylindrical object, right? It is one of the tools or instruments for finding length, but for cylindrical objects. So we have now on the caliper we have the main scale and the vernier scale. Let me show that to you. So we have this a caliper. Caliper is to measure the length of a cylindrical object. Okay, it has a 0.1 millimeter or 0.01 centimeter, which is still the same thing. Difference between the main scale and the vernier scale. That is called the accuracy. It has a 0.01 centimeter accuracy, right? That is the simple caliper. That is the diagram. Now, since it has a 0.01 centimeter accuracy, that accuracy will give you the hint of the way the answer will be. Now, you know it has a main scale and a vernier scale, right? So the first answer in a caliper is the answer of the main scale, while the one that comes behind is the answer of the vernier scale. So now looking at the option, we have 0.01 centimeter accuracy. Which of them has the same decimal placement as that? 0.01 centimeter. Option A has 5.13. 3 values, right? 0.01, 5.16. They have the same amount of value. So that means option A is a correct answer, because it is well arranged the way the answer of a caliper should be. But option B doesn't have that same structure. 5.165. Now that one has 3 decimal places, which is wrong. So you know it should be 2 decimal place, not more than that. Altogether 3 values. Option C has only 1 decimal place, which is also wrong. Then option D has 3 decimal place again, which is still wrong. So the one which is right, and the reason why it is right is because it is arranged in the order of the accuracy of caliper, which is 0.01 centimeter or 0.1 millimeter. Okay, so that's why 5.16 is that which is well arranged. It is the order of any answer for a question on vernier caliper. Do you understand that? Okay, now let's go to the next question. So option A is the correct answer for number 18. The next question says, when a sound wave passes from air into water, its A, speed and velocity increase but its wavelength remains the same. Speed and wavelength increase but its frequency remains the same. Speed decrease, and D, speed increase but its wavelength and frequency decrease. Now think of that. When sound passes from air into water, does anything is anything coming to your mind when you hear that kind of question? Sound is moving, you know, sound is a wave. Now sound is moving from air to a water medium, right? Now when wave move from air to water, what happens? That is a change in medium, and that is what will happen to that wave when it change medium is called diffraction. It will alter direction. Now it will change direction. So diffraction is a change in wave direction when it moves from one medium to the other. So it will diffract. Okay, good. Now, but when wave diffract, what will happen to the speed, frequency, and wavelength? Now, there's just one thing to remember from what's it called? There's one thing to remember from the topic diffraction. It's called Snell's rule of diffraction, and it says that when a wave moves from one medium to the other, that's changing from a lighter medium, that's air, to a denser medium, that's water, the wavelength will not change, and the velocity of the wave will not change. Sorry, both of them will be changed. The wavelength and the velocity of the wave will alter, but the frequency of the wave will remain the same. It will remain constant. Now that is very key. Now under the topic diffraction, we've learned that whenever a wave moves from a less denser medium like air to a denser medium like water, it will alter, and what will alter is the velocity. The speed of the wave will change. Okay, also the wavelength of the wave will change. Like in my drawing, you can see the wavelength change and the velocity change, but the frequency will remain the same. Okay, so and that brings us to the answer to that question. What will not change is frequency, but wavelength and velocity will change. Is that clear? So that brings us to the answer, and that is the answer to the question. So making option B the correct answer. Speed and velocity increases, but its frequency remains the same. For any wave that is diffracting, the frequency remains the same because it is changing from air medium to water medium. The frequency remains the same. Okay, now, so that's the truth number 19. Now let's talk about number 20. Which of the circuits illustrated below will give a total resistance of 1 ohm? Now, some people, when they see this kind of question, they will be wondering, oh, this is difficult. Oh, how will I go about it? But this is super easy, because what you can see there are just series circuits and parallel circuits. You know, the option A is a series circuit because it's straight. Then option B is parallel because it is just up and down. It's just up and down. Then option C is also parallel, up, down, 3 steps. Then option D is both series, a straight and a parallel. It is both series and parallel. And whenever you are finding the resistance of something in series formation or parallel formation, there are formulas to use. Now let's take a look at it now. Which one will give us 1 ohm? The first question is series. If you are dealing with series resistance, the total resistance for anything in series is just to add up all the resistance. That's 2 ohms plus 3 ohms plus 6 ohms. And that gives me 11 ohms as my answer. But is that giving me 1 ohm? No. So option A is wrong. Now option B now, that's parallel. We have 2 ohms and we have 3 ohms. Now for anything parallel, the formula to use is 1 over the resistance total plus 1 over the R1 and the R2. That's, in this case, that's 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3. That is the formula for finding resistance for parallel circuits. So 1 over R total equals 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3. Give me 1 over R total equals 3 plus 2. Okay, 3 plus 2. Okay, so that will give me 1 over R total, that's fraction. 1 over R total equals 5 over 6. Then if you cross multiply, you'll be getting R total as was 6 over 5, giving me 1.2 ohms. So, but that is not equivalent to 1 ohm. So it is still wrong. Option B is wrong. Now let's check option C now. Now it says R total, because it is parallel, I will be using the formula for parallel. That's R total. 1 over R total equals 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 4. This is how to solve parallel circuit. Okay, good. So I have that set. So 1 over R total equals, it will give me 3 plus 2 plus 1 over 6. Giving me 1 over R total equals 6 over 6. So R total is 6 over 6. When you turn it upside down, you'll be getting 6 over 6, which is R total equals 1. So the answer to that question is therefore option C. But for the sake of understanding, I would like to explain option D, although we've seen our answer as option C. Now option D is contain both series connection and parallel connection. If you add that kind of connection, what you have to do first is to begin from the parallel. Don't begin from the series. Begin from the parallel. So I will be solving parallel first to make it a single resistance, so that I can do it with the series. So that will give me from the parallel 6 ohm and 3 ohm. I'll have 1 over R total equals 1 over 6 plus 1 over 3, giving me 1 over R total equals 1 over 1 plus 2 over 6. Okay, you know, from LCM. So 6 devices 1, then 3 devices is 2 times 1, that's 2. So that's 1 over 1 plus 2 over 6. So I have 1 over R total equals 3 over 6. So cross multiplying or turn it upside down, R total was 6 over 3, which is 2 ohms. So the total resistance for the parallel is 2 ohms. So that 2 ohm is now, so the two parallel are now, that 6 ohm and 3 ohm both 2 ohm. So it's now in series. 2 ohm and the previous 2 ohm is now in series now. Now in series connection. So now how to find resistance for series is just to add up. So the resistance total for series connection, for this series connection, is 2 plus 2, giving me 4 ohm. So the total resistance for the last option is 4 ohms, right? It's simply 4 ohms. Okay, so now the answer that will give us 1 ohm is therefore option C, from what we've seen before, option C, and that gives us the option the answer as option C. So now this brings us to the end of this video. Don't forget to like the video so that you can get more content from us from time to time, and you can also want to tell your friends about us. Until we see again next time, take care of yourself, and don't forget, physics is what you can do.